Hi folks, Tim here again with timsclass.com. Today we're going to cover the miter saw. Now this is more than just a miter saw. This is a sliding compound miter saw. So that's a lot to say, and there's a whole lot of reasons for it. But when you come to it, first of all, we got to figure out how to get stuck. Okay? So if you look over here on this side of the saw, right around here, you want to push down and pull that button out. That's going to release the head. Okay, so that's first step. We want to make sure it's unlocked. Anytime you're going to transport it or it's not in use, lock it back and leave it there. So we're going to unlock it because we're getting ready to use it. Notice the slide is also stuck. So this little knob right here, we just want to loosen that up, and now our slide will go back and forth smoothly, and we're going to leave that just like that. Okay, so that's where you get the sliding miter saw from. Okay, now it's a miter saw because it will do a bunch of different degrees. Okay, and if you look down here at this, okay, you see all the different degrees that are listed there. This saw, if you push this button down, you can slide this around to any degree that you want to go. If I want to go to a 45 degree, I go to right there. I can lock this one down by turning the knob. Each one does a little different on how they lock. But for right now, we're going to put it here on 0, which is going to give me an exact 90-degree angle on the cut. If I needed a 45, I'd go to a 45. If I needed a 22.5, I would go to a 22.5. All of that's laid out for me right there on the saw. So that's what makes it a miter saw. Now it's compound, hence the name sliding compound miter saw, and at the head also swivels. If you look under here, you see all the degrees listed again. So you go anywhere from 22 to from 0 to 45. All right, let me show you how that works. Come around this side. There's a knob back here. We just want to turn that, and the head will swivel up to 45 degrees that way. One thing to keep in mind, you see your back guards here, these move, and always make sure if you're setting a 45, that back guard is way out of the way where this saw blade won't come down and hit it. So we can cut a 45 degree that way. You see these other settings here, like we got a 33.9, a 22.5, another 33.9. That allows me to cut crown molding. So if I were to take and put this on 33.9 and lock it down and turn around and move this over to the 31.8 mark, now I'm ready to cut crown molding. So it's compounding the angles, which allows you to do a lot of different things. The other thing, just as this will swivel this way, it's also got a little knob over here that we can pull that up. Let's loosen this up again. If I pull this yellow knob out in the back, I'm able to miter the head the other way. So the head of the saw tilts both ways, okay? And this is probably one of the most used saws in the industry. This particular one has a 12-inch blade. You'll notice we've got a lot of teeth on the blade, and that's for a finer, smoother cut. So once again, the more teeth, the smoother the cut. And when I'm using this saw, typically I'm cutting trim. All right, so we're gonna move this all the way back to where everything is on the knife, and we're gonna lock it down. And I'm gonna make a cut and just go over some safety things. Number one, first of all, you realize I got my safety glasses on. Never use this saw without safety gloves or safety glasses. I have no gloves on. You do not want to use power equipment, power tools with gloves on. Okay, so just make sure you're wearing your safety glasses, no gloves. So let's take this piece of 1x4 trim and let's just measure out, let's go 12 inches. So I'm gonna put my pencil right here, make a little caret, that's what they call that point, and that's telling me to cut right there on that point. Now this is the side I'm gonna keep, so I want my blade to be cutting from this side, from this point that way, because this is gonna be considered my waist side. The side that I'm not keeping is my waist side. The reason that's important, if you'll look at this saw blade, it's not quite an 1/8 inch thick, but it's real close to it. So if I were to cut on the wrong side of my mark, I'm gonna be short, because that kerf, the thickness of the saw blade, which is a kerf, is gonna cut out of the material. So we're gonna make sure we cut from that point on that side, which is gonna leave me my 12 inches, okay? So, come around to this side. First step, make sure your material is firmly against the fence. This back part is called the fence. If you ever let it come out from the fence and your fingers back there, the blade can pull that and will pinch your fingers, and it really, really hurts, okay? The other part to notice, see this yellow area? They should have it bright red. No hands anywhere in that area, nowhere in this area. So the first thing I want to do, I want to take my thumb on the guard and I'm going to pull it back, keeping my hand nowhere near the trigger. And I'm going to bring my head down and I'm going to eyeball straight down my blade. And when I mean that, if you come around this way, I'm looking straight down this edge of the blade because I'm keeping my blade on this side. This is going to be my waist side. So when I come down, if you look straight down that blade, on my mark, you'll see the blade is touching that point. So now I know I've got it set exactly where I want it. I'm going to let the guard go. I'm going to hold this, and I like to call this little area right here, these little indents, that's my thumb hole. So I'm pushing the material back against the fence. I've got my thumb under here. I don't want my thumb out here. I've got my thumb under there, and I've got my fingers here pushing. So I've got it all set. My first step is to pull this all the way back towards me. As I cut, I'm gonna start it up here. I'm gonna come down and always push in. You never pull back when you're cutting. So here we go. I'm gonna start it up. Let go of the trigger, let it up. And there we have it. There's my board. If we take a measurement, we should have exactly 12 inches on the money. All right. If I wanted to cut a 45 piece, I would do the same thing. Move this over to where it locks in on 45. All right. I can just slide this out. We're going to cut a small piece at a 45. And there we have it. The 245s, if I was doing a picture frame, that's how I'm going to get it. I'm going to put the 245s together and I get a 90. If I wanted to carry that all the way around, I could do that very simply. You'll notice the fine teeth, there's no little hairs, what they call them, sticking up anywhere. It cuts a perfectly smooth cut. All right, and that's it for my lesson today on the sliding compound miter saw. Get you one of these. You'll love it.